Ancient wisdom texts have shaped human consciousness for millennia, but what's truly mind-blowing is how these Sanskrit writings from thousands of years ago precisely describe the mental health challenges we're facing today.
That's fascinating. Which text specifically caught your attention? I've been seeing more connections between ancient philosophy and modern psychology lately.
Well, the Shiva Sutras completely transformed my understanding of consciousness. They describe it not as something produced by the brain, but as the fundamental fabric of reality itself, like the screen on which all experience appears. Modern neuroscience is only now catching up to these insights.
How do they explain something as complex as consciousness? Even our best scientists struggle with defining it.
So here's what's incredible. They use this concept called Shakti, describing consciousness and energy as inseparable, like space and motion. You know how quantum physics talks about the observer effect? These texts were exploring that relationship thousands of years ago.
That's quite a claim. Are you saying they understood quantum mechanics before we had the technology to measure it?
Well, not exactly quantum mechanics as we know it, but they grasp something fundamental about the nature of reality. And here's where it gets practical. The Avadhuta Sutra takes these profound insights and shows how to apply them in daily life.
So what's the practical application? How does understanding consciousness help with modern problems?
Think about our current mental health crisis. Studies show anxiety and depression have increased by 25% globally since 2020. The Avadhuta Sutra suggests that most of our suffering comes from identifying too strongly with our thoughts and emotions, rather than recognizing them as temporary experiences in consciousness.
That sounds a lot like modern mindfulness practices.
Exactly. And research from Harvard Medical School shows that mindfulness meditation can reduce anxiety symptoms by up to 60%. These ancient texts were essentially describing the same mechanisms thousands of years ago.
You know what's interesting about that? The growing body of research showing how meditation actually changes brain structure.
Right? And the texts describe what they called chitta vritti nirota, the settling of mental fluctuations, which neuroscientists now observe as increased alpha wave activity during meditation. It's like they had an intuitive understanding of neuroplasticity.
So how do these ancient insights translate to practical solutions for modern life?
Well, they offer 3 key practices. First, self-observation, learning to watch thoughts without identifying with them. Second, understanding impermanence, recognizing that all experiences are temporary. And third, discriminating between reality and appearance, like not mistaking our social media presence for our true identity.
That's particularly relevant given how much time we spend online these days.
And studies show the average person spends over 7 hours per day on digital devices. The texts warn about what they called Maya, or illusion. We might call it digital overwhelm today. They understood that mistaking appearances for reality leads to suffering.
How do you think these teachings might evolve as technology continues to advance?
That's fascinating to consider. As we move toward more immersive technologies like VR and AI, these ancient teachings about the nature of consciousness and reality become even more relevant. They provide a framework for maintaining inner stability amid rapidly changing external conditions.
That's quite profound, using ancient wisdom to navigate future challenges.
And here's what I find most hopeful. These texts suggest that peace isn't something we need to achieve or create. It's our natural state. When we stop identifying with the chaos of our thoughts and digital distractions, it's like the sky that remains unchanged, despite the weather passing through it.
That's a powerful metaphor for our times.
Yes. And perhaps that's why these teachings have endured. They speak to something timeless about human experience, something that remains constant, even as our external world becomes increasingly complex and uncertain.